Good morning. This is Notes Unit 4, Day 4. We're going to learn about the tricks to prove triangles are congruent. Today we're going to look at side, 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 side equals side, and begin our proofs. So if three sides of one triangle are congruent to the three sides of the second triangle, that's one way we're going to be able to prove our triangles are congruent. So I'm going to recommend that you guys use three colors. And remember, we're going to highlight the sides of our triangle or the angles of our triangle in the colors, in the three colors. We're going to always have at least three pieces of information. In this one, it says BC has one dash. So that one's going to be equal to the one with one dash, which is HT. So if AC is congruent to HT, that's a side. And then two dashes is AC and TR. So AC is congruent to the one with two dashes, TR. They both have two dashes. That's a side. And AB is congruent to HR. AB is congruent to HR. That is my third side. If these three sides are congruent, then my triangles, that means all the angles, the corresponding angles are going to be congruent by side, side, side. Remember that the congruency statement, the order matters. So they told us to start with A, go to B, and then C. I usually look at the colors of the sides if I haven't marked any angles. And A is in between a blue side and a green side. So the one between blue and green is R. So I have to start with the triangle symbol and then do R first. Then they told me to go to B. B is in the middle. B is in between three hash marks and then one mark, or the blue and the red. I have to look at the one between the blue and the red, and that is H. That's H is in between 1 and 3. That's H. If I'm going from R to H, my next one has to be T. Let's look at this proof. It says we're trying to prove that triangle ABD is congruent to triangle CDB. What I'm given is A to D is congruent to B to C. I can assume this because of the little marks. So I'm going to write it in there. AD is congruent to BC. And they're giving us something else. AB is congruent to DC. AB is congruent to DC also because they give it to us. They plug it into our picture. So this reason is always going to be given. We're going to start with what they give us. Now my second thing I'm going to see is that they have a common side. Just like you're looking at yourself in the mirror and that's your reflection, it's the same side. This is going to be called the reflexive property. When they're sharing a common side or a common angle, this is always going to be the reflexive property. So we're going to say, well, in this top triangle, it has DB. This side DB is congruent to the side DB in the bottom triangle. Whenever we have something repeated, DB is congruent to something repeated, DB. The reason is going to be the reflexive property. And this is always going to happen when our triangles are sharing a common side or a common angle. Reflexive property. Now, my last step, I think I have all three pieces of information plugged in. My last step is going to be to rewrite what I'm trying to prove, and I can now. That's going to be my last step, so I don't really need 4. I should have maybe made 1, 2 of them, but I don't really need 4. You're not going to always use all of the boxes. So number 3 is going to be to rewrite what I'm going to try to prove. I'm trying to prove that this triangle ABD, same order, you have to leave it exactly the same, is congruent to triangle. It says CDB. The order does matter, right? CDB. My reason is going to be today either side, 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 or side, angle, side. In this case, I have one side, this one is two sides, and this one is three sides. Side, side, side. I don't have anything in the inside. I don't have any angles. So it's going to be the side, side, side postulate. Side, side, side. Okay, let's look at this one. The included angle A is the included angle between BA, this side, and AC, this side. It's the one that connects them or is in between them. The included side is the side that is in between them. So RS is in between angle R and angle S. Now let's look at side, angle, side. Let's look at this congruence. This little dash should be right here, and this little arc should be right here. Okay. So one dash, this side, is congruent to one dash, this side. The included angle N is congruent to the included angle T. And then that means the very next side, the one with two dashes, is congruent to the one with two dashes. Now let's write it in there. I started with the green one. So I'm going to say green LN is congruent to the green TS, which is a side. My angle is angle N. It's congruent to angle T, which is an angle. And then the very next side is red. So I'm going to say MN is congruent to TR. My congruent statement, triangle MLN. They told me to start with M, which is between the red and the no mark. So the one between the red and the no mark is angle R, right? So triangle R. They told me to go to L. L is in between the green and the no mark. Between the green and the no mark is S. I'm going from R to S. My next one has to be T. It's the only one left. Alrighty, let's try this proof. It says, prove that these two triangles are congruent. HIJ, so this top triangle, and KJI, the bottom triangle. Okay, well, we are given HI is congruent to JK because they have this little dash here. That means that since they both have one, that they are congruent. So I'm going to write it in there. HI is congruent to JK. And that's what they give us. They write it into our diagram. They're not always going to write it up here. Sometimes they just plug it into our diagram for us. But the reason is still given. We're always going to start with what's given. Now, they give us that these lines are parallel. And one thing we know about parallel lines with a transversal is we always have alternating interior angles that are equal. Okay? You have to pick these. You have to pick the one that touches your parallel line. The one that touches your parallel line. So I'm going to say angle HIJ, which is this top angle. Remember, we name an angle with three letters, and the angle we're talking about has to be in the middle, so I has to be in the middle. You could have said JIH if you would like. It's congruent to this bottom angle, which is KJI. Because these are alternating interior angles, which are always congruent. So I know that they're congruent. I plugged it in. Now, one more thing we can always assume is congruent. If my triangles have a shared side, then the side is congruent in both triangles, which makes sense. So I'm going to say that in this top triangle, JI is congruent to In the bottom triangle, IJ, or JI again. We have to write it the same way. If a side is congruent to the same side, this is always going to be the reflexive property. I have 3 pieces of information. I'm done. My next step is to rewrite what they're trying to make us prove. So triangle HIJ is congruent to triangle KJI, and my reason is going to be side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, or HL. I have 5 reasons, 5 postulates to go here. So I'm going to look at this. It looks like I have one side, I have an angle, and then I have another side. Let's look at the order. The order does matter. I'm going to start over here where there's nothing. You got to cover up one of the triangles first, okay? I'm only going to look at the top triangle. I'm going to start over here where there's nothing, and then I'm going to go around clockwise or counterclockwise. It's up to you. If I go clockwise, this is a side, which is S, side. This little thing right here is an angle, and then I'm going to the very next side. I can't skip anything. You guys can't go side, side. Oh, but there was an angle in between it. If the angle is in between my 2 sides, then you're going to put my A in between my 2 S's. And then we're going to write property. That's it. You're done. I want you guys to try these down here. All you have to do is tell me if these 2 triangles are congruent, and by what? Write the congruency statement. Remember, the order matters. And then by, your reasons are going to be side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, or HL. You guys choose. And ask us if you have any questions.